This is things you might not have heard. I am Jacob Payne. Today we're featuring Taylor Swift because it's Tay Tay's World. She's right there behind me, checking things out. Halle Berry and NSYNC. Today is a day where we really are talking about conversational things, not as many newsy source things, but they do circle back. The Concept Project is your home for headline news, information, and pop culture references that are worth chatting about. And we're talking some chattable things, including some stories that included Halle Berry's story that's been out there for a bit. We're finally getting to it because it is kind of juicy, but we do have a little Trump sprinkled in as well, so we don't miss out on those bits and pieces. Now we're going to go big into Taylor Swift and other things, so in just a moment. So make sure that you're ready for these 8 stories that you deem as conversational by engaging with us in a conversation online in our feeds and in our comments chat. So get ready for that. Make way for this and make way for our website, which is conversationproject.com. More details about how we actually do the things here every single day for the Conversation Project. And of course, you can get a chance to help us out by visiting our website and visiting our sponsor for the day, a spotlight sponsor, which is Ground News. This is conversationproject.com/ground news. That affiliate link will get us a small commission. Thank you very much. And it will get you up to 40% off your plans for getting the best news you can by getting all the news possible. So as we prepare for this one, 8 news stories that were vetted by you as pretty cool to talk about. So let's get into the show at this point right now. And into the show means getting into, ironically, the life of a showgirl. What you see here are pictures of Taylor's website. It's a site where you buy merch and stuff. And what merch can you buy in just a little bit? It is her 12th album, 12th studio album coming out very soon called The Life of a Showgirl. If you were like me and you went to bed at 9 o'clock because you're old, you missed out on the 12-12 announcement of the 12th studio announcement being announced in a podcast interview with Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce, where Jason Kelce is all of us right now. He was giddy as a schoolgirl with the announcement of the article, of course, of the album. Swift described the record as a celebration of spectacle and blending pop, cabaret, and cinematic influences. You've seen she's grown from that young little country star into someone who's transcending everything, and she's going to show us all in a couple months when it comes out. Fans speculated the project draws inspiration from her current tour and theatrical stage design. There's really not known about this one other than you can buy the pre-orders are coming in October, I believe. The actual drop date not there, but Taylor will drop it when she feels like it, and you're going to buy it because you're going to. Just go with that. It included cover art featuring Swift's vintage showgirl attire. Pre-orders opened immediately, but the deluxe editions we're selling out in hours. The actual on the shelves, even though they don't go on shelves these days, to be told, but later, to be determined. That's what I'm thinking about. We're going to do a Trump story in a bit, but right now we're going to talk about the takeover in D.C. of the federal troops and federal FBI taking over the policing of D.C., which is a serious issue and a much serious issue. We're going to take a couple of days to let that marinate and let people discuss what it actually means and what the real allegations and sort of the dog whistles about that. But something that came about is something I actually heard a little while ago this morning, watching the CNN as a commentator talked about how he lives in he's a Hispanic man and he lives in a black ward in DC. Crime is not necessarily down there, so he doesn't feel like it's going on, even though the numbers say so. So what you feel in your neighborhood may be what you feel and not what the numbers say. But this is an article that came up from ABC News anchor Kyra Phillips, who one of my favorite news anchors, which she was on the actual ABC more. She is talking about how she was jumped by a half-dressed vagrant in Washington, D.C. recently. A homeless man half-dressed and jumped her, which brings about the homeless issue and the crime issue, both in D.C. The incident reportedly occurred near her workplace around the same day Trump federalized local police. So it's happening. Phillips' colleague's car was stolen minutes later, which she described as part of a worsening public safety crisis. There are people in D.C. who are seeing the crime not be a great thing. And in many cases, in most cities, crime does not exist. It just seems to only happen to other people if it's a good city. If it happens to you and people you know, it's probably a bad city. She shared details on social media, which probably would not gotten into bigger detail, except for the fact that Donald Trump is doing this thing for DC. Police have not confirmed if the suspect in this case was apprehended, but this goes on to show that your mileage may vary. When I say that, I mean it. Based on how you feel, how you live, how you work, the things we say that the public aren't being talked about may not exactly do the way. We talk about the economy. Economy's going well, but just not felt in your pocket. We talk about here crime seems to be down significantly in DC, but people who get attacked don't quite think so. As I say often, that's what it means. Your mileage may vary on this case. A couple of stories we're getting to that took us a while to get to. This is something that's been out there for a bit, and it's a very sad story of a tourist who went to Puerto Rico to go for the Bad Bunny residency and was killed while there. 29-year-old American tourist fatally shot in San Juan while attending the Bad Bunny extended concert residency there. Police say the victim was caught in crossfire during a dispute outside of a nightclub. Incident has raised concerns about tourism safety and high-profile events. A lot of people moving to Puerto Rico years ago as it turned into sort of the haven for podcasters and influencers, and now things are coming to light that issues aren't so great. Crime as well, as they dealt with many, many hurricanes and power outages in rebuilding there. Not a bad place to be, but if things happen to you, then it's a bad place to be. Local officials are increasing police presence to make sure entertainment districts are there, especially around Bad Bunny. His team expressed condolences, but did not announce any change to the show's schedule. This is a big deal for Puerto Rico because it's bringing in people and money to the island. So Bad Bunny's doing his part to show his love for his people. They're also going to bring up more security to show his love for his people. Excuse me. So, Taco Trump again. Trump is extending the China tariff deadline by another 90 days. President Trump is announcing additional extension to higher tariffs on Chinese exports going into effect 90 days from the actual last 90 days that was put into place. This move is framed at giving China one more chance, another last chance, another shot, just the last teeny one to meet U.S. trade demands. Economists see the delay as a tactic to maintain negotiation leverage, although it's also seen by critics as a delay, a stall tactic, a point that he's not willing to pull the trigger on this one. He says tough talk to some people who don't have the right to fight back or who are basically have enough common sense to realize what he's saying is dumb. But the people he actually needs to fight back against, like the Russians and the Chinese, he doesn't. But if the tariffs are actually enacted, it would cover electronics, automotive parts, and consumer goods. A lot of things we get very cheaply from China and why we go to them in the first place. Markets reacted with slight gains on the news because it allowed them to say, okay, 90 more days of reprieve, and maybe we'll get to someplace. Maybe. Possibly. It could happen. Pause from the news. 4 more stories to go from our Monday into Tuesday, John, and we are glad to have you along with us. Coming soon, we're going to ask for another sort of capital campaign to help us grow and sustain the Conversation Project. But the basic stopping point right here to always ask you is to do the basics that cost you very little. Like, share, and subscribe to the Conversation Project and to things like things you might not have heard, whether it's on our feeds on Facebook or X or on YouTube. You're getting this somehow. If you liked it or someone liked it, it got sent to you as a feed thing for the likability of the algorithms. If someone shared it to you directly, then you saw it there and you're seeing it here and you're watching it now. We're asking you to like what you're seeing so more people will see it. Share it so that more people get a chance to see it directly, and subscribe so that you do not miss this. It's not directly in your feed. If you're waiting for this to show up because I'm going to be somewhat popular in your style of view, that's great. But subscribe so you make sure you don't miss out on it. And you don't have to hit the actual notifications. So hit subscribe so we know that you are getting this daily. This is a story that I was hoping would be sort of fake. It's not quite fake. It may turn out to be something a bit bigger, but I think it's the implications that's really hoping to be fake. And it does show a bit of reverse misogyny, if that actually exists, if that's actually a real term. But there's an outrage with Vikings fans, the Minnesota Vikings of the football field in the NFL, where male cheerleaders now on the team are having fans cancel their season tickets. They're done with the Vikings, not because the team's not winning, but because there are male cheerleaders on the squad. Decision to feature one male cheerleader in its profiles, and there's actually 2 on the team this season, has led to some fans canceling their season tickets. Critics claim the move strays from tradition, while supporters praise it as a step towards inclusivity. Team representatives say the addition is part of expanding diversity in game day entertainment. Why not? Just, they have men on the football field cheerleading for college games as a long-time tradition. Why not bring some men to the dance squads for the big time games? Why not? Social media reaction is sharply divided among cultural lines. The reverse misogyny, as I said earlier. The Vikings have not indicated any plans to reverse the decision, so the dudes are sticking around for a while. They're probably just as tough as anybody else, and they may end up being practice squad players by the end of the season, the way the Vikings play. But we'll see how this thing plays out for the season, how much of a role they play in the pep squadness of the game, and whether anybody actually cares come week 3. This story may seem like a who cares story, but from people of a certain age, my generation, people who were in love with one Halle Berry and who were enamored with wanting to be a David Justice, this is a comeback. This is a throwback. This is an era that means a lot to us. And the story tells us a lot about ourselves back in them days and how we are many, many years later. Now, David Justice, after all this time, has revealed why he ended his marriage to Halle Berry, a very famous star-studded marriage from back in the day. Well, Halle Berry, who at the time was not very famous and just kind of coming into her fame, married David Justice, the former Major League Baseball star, big time with the Braves at the time. And he started the divorce. He said due to irreconcilable trust issues, as is mostly there. And he said it stemmed from pressures from Hollywood. As Halle Berry was growing in her talent, he couldn't put up with it. Justice claimed that media speculation and industry gossip undermined the relationship. All the tabloid stuff made it worse. They were married from 93 to 97, so a pretty good run. The divorce made tabloid headlines all over. Justice shared the revelations during a recent podcast appearance, and Berry has not publicly responded. She'll probably put on something fairly provocative, dance around on TikTok, and have people going nuts because she can still pull that off. Now, part of the insider baseball, pun intended, from David Justice was essentially he didn't know how to be married. He didn't quite get it. He was immature. He expected Halle Berry, although she was acting, to be, sitting in the kitchen making him a sandwich. It was really kind of that one. So it was the actual misogyny in that part. But the fact that she was growing in Hollywood and getting more roles and getting more famous on her end, that he didn't quite gather what was happening. And the tabloid needling did not make it any easier. So it says something for us, the dudes at the times and dudes at the time, what we're looking for. Actually says something about some of this red pill, blue pill stuff right now and how the incel culture is going forward. And it says a lot about Halle Berry, who can pull these things off at a seasoned age. A seasoned age. A seasoned age. Texas fans are already insufferable, but this year they'll start off pretty much worse as they top the preseason AP poll for the first time since they came in with the SEC. And it is going to be terrible. There are also 10 SEC teams ranked in the top 25. So once again, SEC football is dominating, at least early, and we'll see what happens come playoff times. But right now, Texas is #1 spot in the preseason for the first time in the history of the program. SEC gets 10 total, which show the depth that it has there. They include Georgia, Alabama, and LSU, with Texas in the top 5 as well. Coaches are cite strong recruiting classes and veteran rosters at high placements. Last year was a pretty good season. They're basically carrying over that class and making it work out, plus adding some more weapons. They should have a good season this year. They have a good chance of doing it again. We shall see. The first regular season AP poll will be released on week 1 to see exactly how well they have done in their first week. They've got some big games going forward off the bat, so we'll see if they can maintain that firepower, maintain that ranking all season long. Backstreet's back, and they're challenging NSYNC to a head-to-head golf match. They actually, Backstreet never went away. They just, like all of us, got older, much like NSYNC. But they want to put some money where their mouths are and where the balls lie, and for a charity golf match in a playful nod to their 90s rivalry. The proposal was made during a celebrity tournament live stream where the Backstreet Boys say, "Hey, guys, let's make some money. Let's make some noise. Let's break the internet." The both groups have recently reunited for separate tours, feeling nostalgia for the interest of what's going on with all 5 guys and all 5 in both bands. So 10 guys total doing their things. They're actually together more often than not. So why not take a couple of days off, play some golf for charity. No date or venue has been set, but the proceeds would go to children's charities. NSYNC members have yet to officially respond, but this is one that's going to be way too fun, way too 90s, if you will, and probably will happen in some semblance of case. Maybe not quite televised, but trust me, there will be fans, there'll be YouTubes, there'll be TikToks of the frivolities. And I'm pretty sure my girl, Rhonda Grams Lund, will be there front and center, probably trying to, hang out with Howie, because I think Howie's her guy. So we've wrapped up our news for today. And one way we got a chance to get the better news for today, make sure that our best news, is by using our spotlight sponsor, Ground News. We use this extensively. You hear many other podcasts talk about how they went to Ground News and wanted to partner with them because of what they do. Allowing you or us to be a part of a better news story is a pleasure. It's an honor, and we are honored to have them on our team supporting us. And if you go to our link, our affiliate link, this is the conversationproject.com/ground news, you will get a chance to get better news. And if you sign up for one of their plans, 40% off their plans, which gets you all the best news for less than $10 a month. It essentially gives you what you get from your old newspaper subscription, many other newspapers to subscribe to. They give you sources from all the sources side by side. So you can see headlines from various different sources, details from various sources, and you can actually see how your news is being covered by your favorite silo or your unfavorite silo, least favorite silo, I guess, the more grammatically way to say that one. Get in on the news or the way you want to and the way you may need to. If a story seems a little squirrely, see how other people are covering it. And if you're wondering what stories you're actually missing because your particular brand can't cover everything, see what stories your particular brand are overly covering because they don't want to cover the other things, and vice versa. Ground News will offer you all this and a few other things that I can't think about, because every time I log in and see something, they basically surprise me. Local stories, national stories, and international stories, they have it covered for you and for a great deal, 40% off their plans by visiting our link. This is the conversationproject.com/ground news. This is the conversationproject.com/ground news. Get in on this great deal. It's for your phone. It's for your website. We use it daily to check out stories and sometimes to mix and match, sometimes mixing a headline with a link that don't quite fit, just to see if you guys are noticing. So we love it. You'll love it too. Ground News. With that, we have wrapped up the Tuesday edition of Things You Might Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. I'm thanking you so much for being with us here. Here's a thing we're going to give you a heads up on. Pretty soon, we are going to actually come up with a new campaign to help support what's going on here. If you've been following us for a while and kind of went through the summer, last part of the summer where we were hit or miss, sort of the details and the agony it has been to produce Things You Might Have Heard. We love doing it. I love doing it. It is the thing that I say keeps me sane. But we need to get a little extra support going forward and regroup going forward. So we'll have a campaign. Right now, the working title is I Need $1.50, and it's going to be a small sort of GoFundMe crowdsourcing campaign just to prove a concept and prove a point. Unfortunately, the point will be we won't make that number, but we'll see what happens going forward. In the meantime, we'll see what happens going forward for the rest of the week, as this has become a very busy and just sort of unhinged week in all of one day of yesterday. So today's Tuesday. We are shooting for the extended version of this going forward. And of course, the beginning of school. So all things are sort of in flux as we must get JJ to the package on to school on time every single day to learn how it is to be, one of us really odd adults. Meantime, follow us on our feeds, consider being a partner, and email me at the conversation inbox, gmail.com with your questions, comments, concerns. Thank you so much for being in the know, or trying to be in the know, and helping us pick out our stories by following us on feeds and engagement. Love you. Mean it. We're out. We are crossing fingers because we want to have the Wednesday edition. Right now it's getting crazy. Crossing fingers. Hope to see you tomorrow morning.